Welcome, beautiful souls. Remember, you are not just living life, you are creating it. You are the writer, the actor, and the director of your own movie. Every experience, joy, fear, or love has been chosen by your soul as a pathway to growth. Today, we'll explore another soul's journey, one that might reflect your own in ways you never expected. In this episode of Beyond Transcendence with Andrew, I'm joined by Dr. Tommy Rhee, a sports chiropractor turned visionary in regenerative medicine. Dr. Rhee shares his journey from working with NFL athletes to developing Rheegen, a topical application designed to support healing and recovery. We dive into the insights on biomechanics, the evolving field of stem cell therapy, and the potential of topical application as transformative alternative to injections. This conversation blends science, healing, and human potential, offering a powerful look at the future of regenerative medicine. Please welcome Dr. Tommy Rhee. Welcome to my show, Dr. Tommy Rhee.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited about your show.
Thank you so much. So tell me about your journey. Like, what brought you to your idea of Regen?
It's a good question. It goes way back in the days of not that far back, but I guess the big thing was that I'm a sports chiropractor and I'm working at UCLA and I'm in LA. And as I see these kids, they develop into collegiate athletes to professional athletes. They have their own off-season protocols. And that protocol would be a lot of like nutrition and exercise correctively. And then, of course, the recovery and then regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy. So as I'm working with these guys, they are doing this stem cell therapy off season. And the one thing that I've noticed is that they can't do it during the season because of that downtime from the injections. So with that, I started seeing a void in their like that rehab or the recovery world. So the big thing with that is that you have to get, recovered during the season, but you can't be compromised from the injection because that will give you the downtime. So that's how the thought process came. Well, there's got to be a better delivery mechanism besides the injections. And then I started thinking about topical application. And with topical application, it's how to get through the 3 layer of skin to deliver that kind of like the information or the messages from the stem cell to the existing damaged tissue. And that's how we started thinking about, well, what's out there right now? There's a component out there called DMSO that allows these little EVs, these signals to go through the skin into the target tissue and then signal your existing tissue to regenerate and heal faster. So once that started looking into its conception and we started going through our R&D, then we did it in real world application with athletes in the professional world, especially in football, NFL. So once we had this one athlete that was able to do he had an Achilles tendonitis issue. So because of that during a season, it's one of those things in NFL world where you're in your last year, your contract, you're trying to really avoid going to the medical side because they'll use that towards their negotiation tools. Hey, you're always susceptible to this type of injury. Your worth is not as much as before. So his big concern was how can I develop this tissue to rebuild better without that sort of that medical side of it looking at it in a negative way. So he was the one that really helped me kind of like fine tune Regen so it can be applied, and more importantly, the biofeedback and the recovery was better. So the great thing about him is that he was able to play the whole season without further injuring his Achilles. In fact, it healed. And the big thing is that his contract was better than before. Then I said, all right, if it works for a top athlete in that type of environment, you can definitely work on our weekend warriors or even civilians that have that arthritic knee, low back pain, and tendonitis that we all get as we age, and it just helps you recover faster. So that's how that evolution of Regen started for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, what made you want to be a part of the NFL? What was your drawing point to the NFL?
I think the big thing with the NFL and driving myself is that when I was a kid, I was athletic. I played sports, played football. And I think every kid's dream when they're little was to play in the NFL. I'm going to play for the Bears or the Cowboys. And then you grow up and you go into high school. Then reality hits you like, why am I not growing as fast as everybody else growing? So I'm stuck here at 5'7", like, this is not fun anymore. So then the realization is that, all right, I can't be a player. Let me be a supporting group, which is like the medical side of it. And so then I started thinking about, all right, so sports med's my world. I want to help people. I can help players. And then I can relate to them because I've been in that world from high school to collegiate world, so I know what it takes to like go through this process and what the player is thinking during injury. So because of that, I just moved from a position of player to supporting or the doctor side of it, and I just kept on going from. So the first step was to get into collegiate world to represent my profession in that world, and luckily I got with UCLA. And UCLA, it's a great stepping stone. I mean, I was involved with all the sports, and you get to see different sports and their prone injuries per sport, and then in that sport per position. So you can take like like football, from the lineman to the safety to the quarterback, they all have the particular injuries that they're always prone to, just like water polo or like track and field. So you start seeing that and you become like well rounded in all the sports from this little world. And then you work your way into like, and then go into the professional world. And then when they go to the professional world, you're in the Olympic level. And then you're going to see these world championship, these elite athletes going in all arenas in sports. And eventually NFL starts calling. So I was attached to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then I was specialized in, of course, chiropractic, but really into advanced rehab. When they had something that's more extreme than what they could handle, they would let me handle those guys. So luckily, it worked out that way.
That's amazing. And what was one of the hardest days in working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Well,
Man, I'll tell you what, there's a really hard day. So my hardest day, so in the NFL world, it's kind of unique because the game's on Sunday, you travel like the day before. So if it's a Sunday game, you travel Saturday morning and you get there Saturday afternoon. Then you kind of unwind and you have meetings and then you do therapy. And then the next day, Sunday morning, if it's a 1 o'clock game, you have to get to the stadium and prep up. So when you start prepping up, you're there before the actual players get there. But the thing is that modern stadiums, they can accommodate a lot of things from the locker room facility, from medical side of it. They have a lot of room. When you look at those old stadiums like the Saints or when San Diego used to play in San Diego, their stadiums were like horrible. I mean, it looks like asbestos were on the ceiling, small cramped area. It reminded me when I was in the Navy and you live in those berthing areas where they stack like 90 guys in a small little 100 square foot place. Well, that was the locker room. It was real tight. So then the only place that was like where I can treat players is the locker room bathroom. So I'll be where the bathroom and the shower's at. And then when these players come in and they're getting ready from their, they're coming from the hotels and they have to prep up to get ready for the game, they all get ready at the same time. So at that period, like about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game, they would all want to get, the chiropractic adjustments, ART, some stretches. They all want to get quick therapy. So they'll line up. So in that time frame of probably 30 minutes, I have to run through the whole offensive line, defensive line, defense, some of the players in the offense, and just run through them as fast as I can. So think about these guys, 250, 300-pound plus, and I have to move them fast. And then now I'm in the bathroom. The bathroom, everybody's using the bathroom. It could be number one, number two. Then I got people that wants to warm up in the shower by using hot water. So I got the steam going on. So I got the steam blowing over here. Then I got the commode blowing up over here. Then I got guys on the table. I'm moving them around. That's probably that hour, that 45 minutes an hour of seeing these big guys and going as fast as I can. I mean, if I can weigh myself before and after, I probably lost like 12 pounds in that period of time. It was like a super cardio, like a hit workout I went through.
that's wild. And what's your best day? What would be your best day, like working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or any sort of medical like
Well, the
moment?
best, yeah, I guess the best day would be like after a win, the flight home. That's the best time. That's then you know that all that work that you put into and everybody's work they put into has been result of a win, and you fly back, and the flight is so much easier. It's a very positive, happy flight. You don't want to lose a game like in San Francisco and fly back to Tampa with a loss. You don't want to have that rough ride, and if you can just feel the energy, and everybody's concerned about what's going to happen to me. So I think that's one of the best things that I enjoy is that through all the fruits of all the labor that you put into a game, the fruits are the actual win, and then the relaxation after that.
What's it like? What are the coaches like working with you? Like, are they like, what do they work? Are they agreeing? Do they like to agree? Like, I know, like, I see the whole blue tent thing now with the concussion protocol, and some coaches are like kind of trying to avoid the concussion protocol. So, like, how does it work with the medical?
Yeah. So the neat thing with medical, I mean, they're for the most part they're there for the players and the coaches. Now, the coaches have their limitations as far as like getting players back on the field, but they also know that they have to think about the players themselves because it does make, each player knows I mean, these guys are professional. They know what's going on as far as their worth and they're just basically a number. I think some of the players refer the NFL is not for long. That's how they say it, right? So they know their worth and they just want allies. And if the players sense that the coach is on their side, then they'll work harder for the coach and not so much as a job. So when the coaches like say, can he go? Can he, he's concussed? Can he move? Well, they have their own independent like group that really assess them. That's away from the actual team doctors. There's like an NFL like a neurologist that goes in there and does the test. So there's no like convincing somebody to hey get him back on the field because there's a separate entity that's going to really watch out for the players. So I feel that when it comes to like injury, coaches really look on the side of the players. But I know, it comes down to game. So that's why they always say, are you injured or are you hurt? So that's why that question comes up.
So what's the goal for Tommy Rhee or Dr. Tommy Rhee? What's the goal for you this year, my friend?
Well, here's a goal. So my goal right now is just to have conversations and talk about like the future of regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy, and just talk about like when people talk about stem cell, they say stem cell, these cells will turn into your cell, or these cells will basically like fix you real fast. It's a great ideal overall, but there's more into the mechanism as just thinking of that cell going to turn into your own existing cell. So if you think about what's going on with stem cell industry, they take the existing tissue from your tissue, like your blood marrow, like a bone marrow, or your actual like your adipose tissue, and they extract this thing called a mesenchymal stem cell. So they're trying to take out stem cells out of your body. They put it into a centrifuge, and they're trying to separate these stem cells from your own body and inject it into your damaged tissue area. I mean, there's a lot of good in that thing, but the idea is that that stem cell is aged as old as your existing tissue. So it needs a bigger signal. It's all about signaling. When you get it from instead of your own body, you get it from a donor site like the umbilical cord or the placenta or a tissue like that has to grow really fast. Well, that's what you want. You want a fast, young, growing signal. And these stem cells are not what you're looking for. You're not looking for the actual stem cell. You're looking for what's secreted from the stem cells. And that's what they call the EVs, extracellular vesicles. They're the ones that have the information to turn on your existing tissue to say, hey, regenerate, turn on. For instance, we have an endocrine system, right? Hormones that secrete, that tells our organ to do something. Well, it's a long pathway. So from your brain to an organ, it's going to signal something to do, right? So that's the endocrine. Well, we use this thing called the paracrine effect, right? The paracrine effect is basically cell to cell communication. So when you get these signals from these cells to go next to your existing tissue, it turns it on. So hence, it doesn't really change from like a donor tissue into your tissue. More so, it's just saying, wake up, signal, turn on. That's all this is all. It's all about turning on your existing tissue to regenerate.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what parting words would you have for the audience right now who's like struggling with, say, an injury or just having a down day and they don't know really how to heal themselves?
Well, the first thing you want to do is, you need to diagnose yourself. So I would go if you're a sports guy and you feel like you're an active guy, you want to find someone like you. Like you want to find a sports doctor that really understands biomechanics. and let him diagnose you. Because you may think that you have a rib injury, but in actuality, it could be like you ruptured your pancreas or something like that. So you want to see really what you have. If it's musculoskeletal, then that's the pathway you want to go. So first step, diagnosis. Find out what you really have. Then with that, you know, go see a doctor and see what he recommends. But the next step after that, you want to go ahead and get your third opinion, second opinion, fourth opinion by your own process by looking at podcasts like this, or maybe doing a little Googling or AI or Chat GPT and figure out what is this whole diagnosis about, and then how do they treat? How's the modern doctor treating these things? And see those protocols. And then from there, you want to say, all right, am I a regenerative candidate? Am I a stem cell therapy candidate? Yes, I am. Now you want to think, how do I do this? Well, there's topical and there's injection. If you do the injection, then you look at the risk factors. The risk factors could be from all the way from infection to downtime. But when you look at topical, easier application. Then you look at the cost. Well, this one, topical, costs a couple $100. Stem cell therapy injection costs $5, $10, $15,000. But the same outcome is there. So those are the things that you want to do. You want to go ahead and do some homework and go into it. And then that's why I just like to talk. I like to talk about what's out there and just kind of educate people like, hey, just don't trust people in the sense of doctors. Second guess them. Go out and, Google it. Chat GPT is our best friend now. So go out there and mess with that guy. And then once you figure out what you want to do, find out how to obtain that and then start that therapy of recover.
Beautiful. And where can people find you, Dr. Tommy Rhee?
Well, you can go on my website, which is www.Rheegen.com, or there's an info. You can contact me there, or you can, of course, the website will explain everything what Regen does. And then there's social media like the Regen and Regen. You can just Google my name, you find things. But I think that's the easy way to get a hold of me, or just kind of like just understand what Regen is about. Also, the book, if you just Google mine or do the Amazon, just put my name and the future of regenerative medicine, you can find my book there too.
Lovely. Well, this has been a wonderful interview, Dr. Tommy Rhee. I trust you're going to have a wonderful rest of your day, and much love to you, my friend.
Man, thank you very much for this opportunity. This is fun. Appreciate this.
To everyone listening, you are more powerful, more beautiful, and more divine than you can imagine. Keep listening to your body, your intuition, and your heart. Trust the wisdom that speaks through you, the same intelligence that guides healing, growth, and creations itself. Dr. Tommy Rhee's work is a reminder that transformation happens when we honor both science and spirit, when innovation meets intuition, and when healing comes from within. Until next time, remember, you are the creator of your own story, and your soul is the pen. Much love to you all.